Hi, everybody. This is Mama Cheryl, and this is Meet the Fam.
I had this hard heart, I would say, for a year. At least for a year, I did not talk to my Christian friends who loved me a lot. I didn't talk to them. I didn't go to church. I didn't go to meetings. And I remember one time in a bedroom, turning a trick, as they say, servicing a client. And Jesus was in the room on the side wall, and he was watching, and he was crying. And I could feel his presence, and I turned around, I saw him there, and I said, just in my mind, I didn't say it out loud because there's a person there. And I said, Jesus, you're stalking me. And I told you, I don't want you in my life. And so that just goes to show
how hardened your heart had gone.
How hardened my heart was. But in my darkest moment, I actually was never alone. No.
David said, if I make my bed in hell, and this is literally how we make our bed in hell. When we go, I hate you, I don't want you, whatever. It's like, okay, we'll push back all the presence of the love and the mercy and the kindness and the goodness of God. And then you're open to the predators that are going to use and exploit you at every level.
Right.
And that you have a very clear graphic example of that in your life and for you, it was a short, it was within a year that whole thing happened, that piece of it, but very, very painful. How painful would you say that year or that 9 months of experience was in your life, as far as how much damage did that do?
Yeah. When I lost my virginity, I thought I was damaged goods. Like, that's how much shame I had. So that I just slept with someone I'm not married to. I'm like the scum of the earth. And then after my first time to do it for money, I can't even remember the experience. I just remember walking out of the house and thinking that was really easy. I had all this cash in my hand and I thought that was really easy, but I can't remember the experience because what I would do was dissociate, where my mind would leave my body, and my body was there getting raped, but my mind was going somewhere else because it was so painful. I remember taking showers at night and not feeling clean. Like, I could take 5 showers, I don't feel clean, and feeling fear. I can't describe like the level of fear and shame, because I was just like, what have I become? I'm some kind of a monster, and I don't like myself. I don't even know myself. This is like,
you can't wash off the pain, the filth of the spirit world that happens in that.
Yeah.
And honestly, that I remember helping some of my prison boys through the hell that they had been through, and they'd be in the shower 45 minutes scrubbing. And like, what are you doing? And they're like, I don't know, I'm obsessed with showering and scrubbing all the horrible things off of me.
That's how I felt.
It's exactly when you're saying that. I'm like, this. I've heard this over and over, and it's from people that have been used. And you said that you didn't even remember the first 8 years of your childhood,
right?
So I don't know what happened to set up the intensity of what did happen the rest of your childhood and then young adult years. But
I know my grandfather on my mom's side was a pedophile. He raped his daughters, and that could be why my mom was so overprotective and so angry all the time. I don't think she meant to be a bad mom, and she couldn't nurture us and love us the way that a mom should. But she couldn't.
Was that her?
Her dad would rape his daughters, and I don't know if she herself got raped. I know one of her sisters did. And I only know that from my dad because my mom was private and wouldn't talk about that stuff.
But she was angry and hurting.
Yeah. And so I know I have like a pedophile, at least on one side, and I have sexual addiction on the other side of my bloodline.
Well,
and
pedophile is the most perverse
yeah,
sexual addiction you can get. And
right.
So what you've done in life is you've broken severe sexual addiction. I mean, really, that's been your journey of standing into who God called you to be. And honestly, I'm so proud of you.
Thank
You've
you.
been really open-hearted through the whole process and said, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I'm feeling, this is what hell is doing against me.
Right.
But I believe God is going to use you in the peace of heaven. You'll be able to help those little precious kids go, you can do this. You're valued. You're worth it, right?
Yeah.
What would you have given to have grown up in a peace of heaven setting? What would that have looked like to you? Like if you can think of what we're trying to do with Peace of Heaven, where we're trying to do the sex traffic kids home, where she wasn't, that we know of, sex trafficked until she was 22, but childhood was a living hell at many, many levels. And then there's 8 years she doesn't even remember.
Yeah, and I didn't get to be a kid.
Never got the experience. And really, God spoke to me years ago about that. And really, we're wanting to also do the Triple H Ranch. And it's really a place where people that didn't get to have their own childhoods can just have a year or two to enjoy life and experience what it is to not have to take care of everybody. Because
exactly.
That's when we first met. You were like, I never want children. I can't do this. I don't want any of it. And God's worked so much in your life, you're not even recognizable, to be honest.
Right.
I look at you and you'll be out there and you're just shining the love of God. And God's taken Sarah on quite a journey of really delighting in him, right?
Yeah.
It's been an amazing journey. Watching you grow has been a delight to my heart.
You.
It's been a journey. And she met a wonderful man that was really wanting a good wife, and they fell in love over coffee. And oh my word, I was like, Sarah, slow down, slow down. She's like, oh, no, we're not going to slow down at all.
Yeah.
So funny. But then once they got married, they had to work through the very difficulties of her history, because her history was painful. And then you come into a marriage and it's not, her mind didn't work right in that setting.
Yeah, I think because of like it must be post-traumatic stress, because things will like trigger me without me. No, like, why did I just become really crazy? You know, but
because of the pain of so much of that ugliness. That is, God created sex to be pure inside marriage and holy and undefiled. And so many young children are so used and abused and just tossed around. Right. And it breaks my heart. There are kids today from the time they're born that are being absolutely used and abused at the deepest levels. It's just heart-wrenching, honestly. There's nothing more evil than that. It's just evil at every level. And honestly, people come down, it comes down bloodlines, like you said. My mother's father and my dad's, both sides of the bloodline had that kind of twisted perversion on it. And sex addiction is a perversion. It's a spirit. And it absolutely is destructive at every level. Yeah. And if you're caught up in it, there is hope for you. You can break the bloodline curse. You can be forgiven, and you can step outside of ever walking in that kind of guilt, shame, and hurting other people. So I want you to know there's help for everyone. There is nobody outside of the ability for God to break off the curses in life. And the devil was telling Sarah that she was the worst person ever. Really, she was just used and abused. And a lot of the children that are going to be coming out of sex trafficking are going to feel dirty and unloved. And what do we want to do with them?
Right. It's kind of what religion teaches you too. You know, we even have songs about, you know, even Amazing Grace, like it saved a wretch like me. We're kind of conditioned to think of ourselves as we're just these sinners. We're just these awful people. And actually we're made in God's image. Like we originate from the light, but we've
from
been
the heart, right
deceived.
out of the heart of God.
Yeah, we fall into stuff, but it doesn't take away that image of God.
Doesn't define you. It doesn't define you.
Yeah.
You can walk through hell, but if you're going to walk through hell, don't make a house there.
Right.
Keep on walking.
Yeah.
Get out of hell. Just keep on going. Jesus absolutely adored Sarah, and here he was standing there in the middle of her being trafficked by a pimp.
Yeah.
For money, she's trying to just sort through life and is coming from two different families of perversion and religious abuse and anger. That is not the way God intended for anyone to grow up. He intended for us to grow up knowing the absolute beauty of the holiness and the kindness and the love of God. And you didn't run into that until much, much later in life. The beauty of someone just loving you and not wanting something from you. Not trying to
not wanting something.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Either you have to perform in just take care of everybody, do everything, do all the chores, do everything, or you have to perform in another arena. It's just was a harsh life. But how old were you when you came here?
It was 2020. So now I'm going on 39, but I know I met you in the spring, so I'm 30. 36. So 34. I would have been 34.
Yeah, I remember that you said something like that, and you told me many times since then, I don't know if I would be alive if it weren't for God getting a hold of me and me coming here and having people really love me. What are
I
your
believe
thoughts?
that actually. Yeah, because when I first came to Glad Tidings, I was a sex addict, and I had 3 home churches prior to this one, that all 3 of them, and a ministry at a college campus that was really like my family. So I had 4 separate groups of Christians, all really loved me a lot. And none of them knew about demons, that demons could live in Christians. And I had serious demons. And I don't know that any of those churches and groups of Christians had ever met anybody as demonized as I was. I think I was kind of out of their league. They didn't know how to handle me. And they would really try to help me. They loved me a lot. But they would tell me, Sarah, you fluctuate, you go up and down, your moods are like this and this and this. And they would think I was lying because I would hear them say something that they really didn't say. And then I come here and I learn about twister spirits that can twist in. So I find out years later, they really didn't say that. And I was accusing them of things that they never said. This was the church that was like equipped to handle all my huge issues. So when I came here, I was a sex addict, and I had it under control in the sense of I would get these thoughts I should go online and go hook up with a stranger. I would get thoughts, but not do it. So I thought, okay, I have it completely under control because I never act on the desire. Then I think it was 2020, in August 2020, I had my last relapse. And when I relapsed, I realized I actually don't have this under control. And I remember calling you, telling you, Cheryl, I'm having not just thoughts now, but now I'm acting on the thoughts. And I feel like a crazy person. I feel like I'm a bad person. I don't know what's wrong with me. Something is wrong, right? Remember, I said, something is wrong with me. And you said, that's not you. That's a spirit. And I felt the first real hope I had ever felt in my whole life. And I had felt loved by lots of Christians, very good people. But that was the first hope that it wasn't me, because the Christians before would said that I'm bad, that I don't really want to get free, that I don't really want to divorce my sin. I'm hugging my sin. I was told all these kinds of things, and I just thought, I can't get free. I must be just a horrible person. And you said that's not even you. And I felt hope for the first time. And just from my early childhood, I always thought I was a bad person. And you were the first one, I think, that just clearly articulated to me that I was not a bad person. I had a really bad, evil spirit living in me. And so I
drag you around and it won so many times.
Yeah.
And took you into settings where they used and abused and used and abused.
Yeah, like I could have got murdered. And so that's why I say I don't know if I would be alive if I hadn't met you guys, because I could have easily just stayed, because that relapse was prostitution and hookups, but I could have very easily just gone back to prostitution and just stayed there until I was murdered or got AIDS or something. And because you saw that it was a spirit, then I casted it out. I was like, if it's not me, I could get rid of it. And I remember rebuking it. I remember cussing it out. I was just telling it, be gone, and it was gone. The temptations would come and I'd be like, nope, you're a spirit. You're not me. And I remember just being consistent, like being really persistent for, maybe a month or so, and it was gone. And
I remember you telling me, you're like, it's not me and it's gone. And I feel like a different person.
Yeah. It's shocking, because I just never knew. I never knew that. And then 2 years after that last relapse, I got married. So it was exactly 2 years to kind of be a free person without an addiction.
Yeah.
And then got married. And then, we struggled in the marriage because of my trauma. I remember feeling like I was getting raped, because when you're a newlywed, it's really frequent. It's like multiple times a day because you're excited. Like I hadn't had sex in 2 years. He hadn't had sex in 3 years. And we were too excited.
Well, I remember telling you don't need to get married like next week.
Right.
Yes, we do. Yes,
I guess we do.
We want to do it purely.
Yeah.
Like, Sarah, relax. You have the rest of your life.
But we struggled. I felt like I was getting raped, and my husband was willing to take time off of sex, and that was really good for me. And I remember telling him, thank you for taking time off. And he said, it's really hard, but, I want you to get healed.
But that's what love looks like. Love looks like my desires can be put aside.
Right.
I care about your heart.
Right.
Can we heal your heart? And God brought you a kind-hearted, gentle, spirited person that would hear your heart, listen to you, and say, you know what, you're not a bad person. We need to get that healed. Hell has used you in really bad ways. And now it's amazing watching God heal you. It's really amazing.
Yeah. I think God gave me a really gentle husband to help me heal from the trafficking, because
nothing else would have worked.
Nothing else would have
worked. But the fact is, God stood up, brought you the kindest, gentle, really good guy, and you've been wonderful for him. You've been healing in his life, and he's been healing in your life, and that's pretty wonderful. But so these kids that have gone through from the time they're tiny, how much damage it does. Even as a 22-year-old, the damage of being used and put out there and put out there and put out there, and multiple times a day being used by people. And typically girls end up saying, I hate men after that.
Yep. I hated men. That's till very, very recently.
And that's what I always hear from anybody I've ever helped, usually the girls in jail. And they're like, it's great money and they're so stupid, right? Their hearts are just loathing the guys.
Yeah.
But God's even healing that. And you have wonderful guys and a fabulous husband. And you respect men again.
Yeah, I haven't completely healed from fear. I can still sometimes feel afraid of men if I think that they're hitting on me, or, I get like really easily spooked, I would say, compared to someone that hasn't been through what I've been through. So I say sometimes I deal with fear, but I don't have the hatred that I used to have. I used to have a sincere hatred towards men, and I don't have that anymore. I can't think of a man that I hate, even if one might make me nervous because they might have a strong personality. I'm like, I don't feel safe. I still don't have that hatred, and I used to really just be consumed with hatred. Yeah.
God's done amazing things. I'm very proud of you. And Sarah has a heart of worship. She writes her own music.
Which I haven't done in a while, but thank you for reminding me.
Beautiful. Sings and worships and really reconnected with God. And God's healed her and really washed her clean of all of the trauma of all of the past. And it is amazing. And a beautiful thing that I'm proud of you.
Yeah,
and I'm proud of you for being willing to share your story. Everyone is not willing to share that openly. And the truth is, it'll bring healing to people that are caught in the middle of a trap of being trafficked. I don't care whether you're 20 or whether you're 10. I don't, wherever you're at in the journey, no man should be selling you to make money. Don't let anybody talk you into doing anything ever.
Women traffic people all the time.
I've heard that. I've heard that. I've never ran into it as far as the people I've talked to.
I've run into it. Yeah, women, it's real. Yeah,
it's horrible. Real. Yeah. It's just the most horrible thing for a woman or a man or your parents or anybody to talk you into doing anything against God's moral code, because his moral code is to save you from the damage of life, right? And she didn't get taught that because there was harshness and criticism. We were all created to live in an environment of pure kindness and love. That's what God created us for. We all flourish when there's gentleness and kindness and love, and mistakes are easily washed away. We flourish in that environment. When there's harshness and put down, then you end up growing up feeling like, I'm not a good person, so why wouldn't I? And then the enemy comes in, takes advantage, like you did of Sarah. So I am so thankful to see God totally restore and move you out of that, away from all of the addiction, all of that. And now you can look at it from an eagle's eye perspective of, oh my word, that ugly entity was controlling my life and using and abusing me through my own flesh. It's really intense.
Yeah.
Well, Sarah, what would you say to any young people that are in the middle of hard things, that they're not wanting, anything that's going on in their life, that how could they best get help to get out of that?
I don't know. It's tricky because when you're a minor, you don't feel like you can escape. I remember, like earlier, you had asked me how would I have liked to live at, a place like Peace of Heaven. I remember like thinking when I was a little kid of I wish somebody would adopt me. I just really somebody should adopt me. I would love to live in a happy family that loves me. But we weren't, going to public school or anywhere where an outside person might see something wrong and might call CPS or rescue us out. But I was like, I wish I could get rescued out of this home and placed into another home. So I don't know what to tell young people that are still minors. I guess if you can find somebody to tell who's outside of your home, if your home's not going to protect you. Because I think if I had just had one person outside of my family that I could have told, I could have got some freedom, because my freedom never came until I found people outside of my family when I was 18 or 19 and started going to college and making Christian friends.
Right. And so they got you out of that.
You need an outside person.
And that's true. It is true. It's true. I remember words matter so much to little kids. They just matter a lot. And my fourth grade teacher, I had a good home. I had a great father. And my mom wasn't so quick to hug people, and she wasn't very nurturing, but not like Sarah's mom. My mom was very good with keeping the house all clean. She was a great person, but didn't know how to hug or love or nurture because it wasn't what happened to her. Her father died young in a car crash. Her mother was not like that. And so my mom wasn't like that. And I remember in my fourth grade year, my fourth grade teacher we asked for pictures of her. Her name was Mrs. Bull. Miss Bull. She wasn't even married. And her name was Miss Bull. And we asked for a picture. She would say, can I have your picture? Can we share pictures? She wrote on the back of my little picture, Cheryl, if I could, I would kidnap you and keep you for my own. And it was life-changing for me to hear a mother figure pour real love and you're valued. And that's what Sarah was missing. That's what Sarah was missing all along. And that led into that whole mess of her early 20s and the devastation that God only could jump in and completely undo and rework. And it's been a delight and a joy. Sarah's actually worked for me at times, and she's amazing. Sarah's a delight and a joy in the kingdom, and she's actually volunteered a lot in different arenas and just really laid down her life to help other people. So I just want to tell Sarah how proud I am of her and how much I love her.
Aw, thank you.
I really love you, and I'm proud of you. And I just want to say good work for coming out of the darkness and into the light. Yeah. It's beautiful to watch God do great things in you, and you're having to fight for it, but you're winning.
Yeah.
So it's pretty beautiful, and I'm just proud of you. So I want to
Yeah.
thank you, and let me pray for you, Sarah.
Okay.
Let's pray that everything in God's heart gets fully realized in your lifetime. So God, I thank you for Sarah, and I thank you for all of the great things that you have in store for her as she's walked through so much hell and so much of the difficulty in her young years. You're restoring her, you're drawing her into deep union and communion and great fellowship with you. And God, I ask you right now for Sarah that you would bring forth her full destiny. Let the beauty of all that she has manifest, and even in this piece of heaven, God, I thank you that you have good things for her to do as sharing your heart and your love with these precious little children. And God, I bless Sarah, and I call her into her full destiny in Jesus' name. Sarah, why I said that was because when I started to pray, I saw you with your guitar sitting there, playing the guitar and singing to these little children.
Oh, wow. They would.
And I was like, oh,
yeah.
my goodness. And it's not that Sarah
Aw.
wanted to take care of more kids. So she's probably going, no. But I saw her singing and playing her guitar and singing to the little children that have only been abused.
Yeah.
And think how wonderful and what God can do through that. So
yeah.
pretty excited for your
That's
future.
really awesome.
I love
Thank you. Okay. Love you too.
Love you.
Thank you.